Holiday in Hawaii. It's only after I clobber the plastic board shorts wearing Santa Claus in front of the hotel that I notice Russ, the handsome tourist who has been flirting with me all week, watching. Surfer Dude Santa responds brilliantly to my burst of violence by changing his tune from Meli, 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 to Meli Kaliki Maka is the thing to say on a bright Hawaiian Christmas day.
Whoa, that was magical.
Russ flashes a sweet smile in my direction.
You're like the Fonz.
At my confused expression, he clarifies.
You know, from Happy Days.
Returning his smile, I furrow my brows into a puzzled expression because I have absolutely no idea who he is talking about. Russ turns beet red under his freckles.
I guess I just gave away my nerdy classic television show obsession. That show was popular way before our time.
I like how he said our time. It makes me feel closer to him, like we are similar. My favorite pastime of late has been daydreaming that our flirtation has the potential to turn into something more. Is there any chance that he feels the same way? Clearly having no idea about the turn my thoughts have taken, Russ tells me about this Fonzie fellow being able to fix the jukebox with a thump of his fist. It's adorable how he blushes and chatters nervously around me. I'm fairly confident that my blossoming feelings for him are reciprocated. As he rambles on about the finer points of the show, I wonder, not for the first time, what our children would look like. We are complete opposites in every way. While I am short and round, he is tall and built like a lean, muscular athlete. My dark Hawaiian features are a stark contrast to his pale, freckled skin and fiery red hair.
Kalea, where did you go just now?
He's grinning to let me know it's okay that he caught me daydreaming while he was talking to me. Oh, I'm not sure what to say, since I can't exactly tell him that I was visualizing our unborn children. Just thinking about all of the treats I need to make for the Christmas celebration. It is the first lie I can come up with. I hope it is believable, since that is what I should have been thinking about.
Yum? I can't wait to see what tasty delights you have up your sleeve.
He reaches out to trace a finger up my arm and under the short sleeve of my uniform. His touch leaves a trail of raised hairs and chill bumps in its wake. My response to his simple touch is both thrilling and frightening. Deciding to bolt, I say, I should get to work, before scurrying in the direction of the resort's kitchen.
Aloha,
he yells after me. I wave my hand in a shaka sign in response without turning back. Rounding the corner, I hear him chuckle.
You hang loose too, gorgeous.
Before I can make it down the hall to the sanctity of the hotel's massive kitchen, Kai and Honi corner me. These two big lugs have been my friends and self-proclaimed protectors for as long as I can remember. I have been actively avoiding them for the past couple of days, because I had the feeling they would not approve of my developing relationship with Russ.
So what's with you and the ginger?
Kai asks crassly. I glare up at him. I don't think anyone without red hair is supposed to use that word.
Carrot top?
He tries to give me an innocent look, but I can tell that he is baiting me on purpose. No, I tell him firmly, which causes him to grace me with one of his heart-stopping grins. The tiny gap between his otherwise perfect teeth is peeking out at me. Seeing his one physical imperfection, if it could even be called a flaw, has me grinning back at him. Even though he drives me absolutely crazy, I know that he has my best interest at heart. I turn my attention to Honi when he jumps into the conversation.
Are you two serious?
It takes me a while to answer because I'm not sure what to say. Are things serious between me and Russ? We haven't even kissed yet, despite the fact that I really want to discover what his lips would feel like against mine. Honi is staring intently down at me, with a strange look in those chocolate-brown eyes that I have craved for over half my life. He is so different than Kai. While Kai is hunky beefcake material, Honi is bigger, softer, and more like a giant teddy bear. In a cruel twist of fate, Honi has secretly yearned for our gorgeous friend, Lei'd, for nearly as long as I have had a crush on him. Lani is visually stunning in every way. She is the epitome of one of the tiny hula girls, who swings her hips on car dashboards across the mainland. To make things even worse for me, an average girl who has always been secretly in love with the man who is secretly in love with someone who could easily win a Miss Hawaii pageant. Lonnie is kind, funny, and wonderful in every way. Honey and I have been trapped in this vicious one-sided love triangle for far too long. Recently, Lonnie seems to have discovered what a fantastic catch Honey is, so I'm trying to back off and wish them well. While I have outwardly been supportive of their new relationship status, inside I have been hurting. The arrival of Russ at our little resort ushered in some feelings of hope, for the first time in a very long time, about my chances of ever finding someone to love me in the same way that I love him. It has the potential to be serious. I finally answer Honey's question. Old habits have me watching his face for a reaction, but I force my attention back to Kai.
Bad idea, Kalea.
Kai weighs in.
You know tourists are temporary. They aren't a good choice for a love interest.
I don't even bother to verbally respond. I just narrow my eyes at him, calling him out on his double standard. Clearly getting my gist, Kai holds up his hands in mock surrender.
My sweet love is the exception to the rule. Tourists are usually nothing but trouble.
He warns me.
Tell her, Honey.
Just be careful.
Honey advises me. Then he adds with ignorant irony.
We don't want to see you get hurt.
I reach up to pat both of my big brothers by choice on their cheeks. I'm touched that you are concerned. I look at each one before going on, but don't worry about me. I've got this. Turning to head into the kitchen, I decide that I sound like I have everything under control. I just wish that I felt as confident as I seem. I stay busy enough prepping the meal and treats for the Christmas Eve luau that I don't have time to worry about my love life, or lack thereof. That is one of the nice things about my job. It keeps both my hands and my mind busy. Plus, I'm really good at making delicious yet artistic food that our guests love. By the time the meal is served, I'm a hot and sweaty mess. Feeling exhausted but pleased with myself for a job well done, I decide to take a peek at the revelry. People are lining up to get second helpings, which is always a good sign. The pineapple boats filled with fruit salad were evidently worth the extra effort because they seem to have been a big hit. I hear a passerby mention how delicious my signature coconut dressing is. When the woman with him responds that the hotel should bottle and sell it, I can't help the surge of pride that bubbles up within me. Deciding I have basked in my accomplishment enough and craving a cool shower, I turn to leave. I let out an oomph of surprise when I run into Russ, who had just been walking up behind me.
Whoa,
He catches me by the shoulders.
in a hurry.
Just heading home for a shower, I tell him honestly.
Oh,
He doesn't bother to hide the tone of disappointment in his voice.
I was just coming to see if you wanted to dance.
He looks hopeful when he points to the dance floor that is just starting to fill with tourists, who are swaying to music while they wait for the luau's official entertainment show to start. I don't want to disappoint him, but I haven't even changed out of my work uniform. I'm a mess. I wave a hand, indicating my general appearance.
You look lovely.
He smiles and blushes. I falter, caught between the desire to spend some time, however short, in his arms and the fear that I might stink. Deciding that the fragrant flowers and aromatic food would probably hide any odor from my overheated body, I accept his outstretched hand. It is Honey's haunting voice and practiced ukulele playing that we dance to. I try not to think about that fact, and find it isn't a problem once I am snuggled into Russ's embrace. His arms feel strong and safe. Forcing myself not to think about how I look or possibly smell, after a long day in the kitchen, I finally relax. I don't want the song to ever end, but alas it does. Pulling back to let Russ know that I should probably go, I am interrupted by Kai's appearance. Holding a hand out to introduce himself to my dance partner, he asks,
Rust, right?
Since he enunciated the T, I am certain that he made the mistake on purpose. It's Russ, I hiss at him.
My bad.
Kai adds jovially, before turning his direct gaze at Russ.
Kalea has a lot of friends here who watch out for her.
The thinly veiled warning is followed up by a fake smile.
As she should.
Russ opts for the high road, rather than taking the bait. He turns to look right at me.
She's an amazing woman. I don't see how it would be possible to not care about her.
I beam up at him, completely forgetting Kai's presence. When Kai mumbles something about going to check on the bar, we both nod without prying our gazes away from one another.
Would you like to go for a walk with me on the beach?
Russ asks sweetly. At my hesitation, he adds,
After dusk is the only time I can actually go to the beach with this translucent skin.
He holds up his arm for my inspection.
Even SPF 100 can't protect this level of paleness from the intense Hawaiian sunshine.
I chuckle and nod at him, unable to imagine having to worry about going outside during the daytime. Having always enjoyed the feeling of sunshine blazing down on my face, the idea of having to hide from its beams seems utterly foreign. As we take the worn, wooden planked path towards the water, I am surprised to see the grounds crew working to attach the hurricane shutters to the hotel's windows.
Is a storm coming?
The concern in Russ's expression is undeniable. Evidently, I respond honestly. Seeing his brow furrow further, I quickly reassure him, it shouldn't be too bad though. We already made it through hurricane season without any major storms. They are probably just being extra cautious and trying to avoid any broken glass with the wind shutters. We walk for a long while in companionable silence. Russ pauses to dig his shoe in the sand to unearth a lovely shell, and I am thrilled when he hands it to me. It's obvious by the way he's beaming that he's proud of himself. Thanks. I smile at him before taking the opportunity to ask, want to sit down for a bit? At my suggestion, Russ plops right down in the sand without a worry about his clothes. I've always been that way too, but I've seen so many tourists freak out about a little sand getting on them that I'm relieved to see that Russ is so relaxed about it. We gaze out at the shiny water and talk for hours. I tell him about my friends and close-knit family, and he appears to be truly interested in everything I say. When he tells me that his parents died in a car accident on New Year's Eve a few years ago, I can see why he has been so enthralled with my stories of family. He has a sister, but he isn't close to her. I feel a sad ache in my stomach over how lonely Russ must be without a family to support and love him. Having that is a blessing that I have been taking for granted. Russ asks me what Christmas is like with my family, and his eyes gleam as I regale him with our stories of food, fun, and the ever-present boisterous laughter. I wish I could share them with you, I finish honestly.
I wish you could too.
He takes my hand within his own, touching me for the first time since we sat down on the beach. Seeing the sad look in my eyes after his revelation, Russ hastens to add,
Don't worry about me, though. I'm happy to live vicariously through your stories, to enjoy the perfect family Christmas. Mine tended to end with my father getting drunk, before the big finale of a huge fight with my mother.
It makes me even sadder to know that Russ didn't have a happy family life before his parents passed away. Someday, you'll find the woman you want to marry. She'll bring you into her family and help you create one of your own. Then Christmas will be more magical than you can even imagine. I fervently hope my prediction comes true. Russ deserves the bonds of a family who loves him all the time, but especially at the holidays. He must sense my sincerity, because the look he gives me practically melts me. The ocean is calm, but the breeze has still managed to free a strand of hair from my messy bun. He gently tucks it behind my ear before saying,
Someday.
The wind carries his word out over the water. I freeze for a moment, overwhelmed with the feeling that it was some sort of promise.
Merry Christmas, Kalea.
He shows me the display on his phone, which reads 12:01. Oh my gosh! I screech. I can't believe it's this late. I have to go home and get some rest. I have a feast to prepare tomorrow. I mean today, I correct myself.
A feast? I like the sound of that.
He teases me as I stand to brush off the sand. My head is already whirling ahead to how tired I will be when my alarm goes off in a few precious hours. I scurry away from Russ with a distracted, "Merry Christmas to you too," over my shoulder. It's only when I'm tucked into my own bed that I realize my mind is filled with too many thoughts of Russ to permit any sleep at all. Tossing and turning as I wait for my alarm to go off, I can hear the incoming storm begin to batter my tiny cottage by the sea. Finally deciding that I might as well just get up, I head in to take a quick shower. My shower is cut even shorter than intended when my power flickers, then goes out. I fumble for my towel, before using my cell phone's light to get dressed by. Since I have to finish getting ready in the dark, I'm thankful that my job is behind the scenes in the kitchen at the resort. I might scare someone if I had a front of the house job at the restaurant. A palm tree has blown over and is almost blocking the road to work, but I am able to edge past it as I drive at a slow and careful crawl in the pounding rain. I am shocked to find the hotel dark when I pull in. The generator must be on the fritz again. With no choice but to make the best of it, I begin gathering supplies in case the power doesn't return soon. I find numerous flashlights before lighting a fire to help illuminate the lobby. The huge stone fireplace hardly ever gets used because it is usually too hot, but the stormy atmosphere makes a crackling fire seem appropriate. Besides, it will help keep the Christmas spirit alive for the tourists, in spite of the lousy conditions. As we say in the kitchen, no matter what catastrophe strikes, the show must go on. Several fellow employees are bustling around, doing what they can to make things comfortable for the guests when they awaken. That is one of the many things I love about working here. Everyone pitches in with whatever needs to be done. I've never heard any of my coworkers grumbling about something not being in their job description. Dealing with this storm probably isn't at all how our guests pictured their holiday in Hawaii, but my work family and I will do everything in our power to make it as comfortable and memorable as possible for them. Deciding the front of the house is as cozy as we can make it under current circumstances, I head back to see what kind of havoc the storm is wreaking in the kitchen. It's much worse than I would have imagined. The prep workers are frantically cutting food by candlelight, stoking a flame to life in the wood-burning oven, and beginning to simmer with panic. Someone passes me and yells,
"The road has washed out, so the food delivery truck can't get through. The only food we will have to serve for the Christmas brunch is what is already here."
Pandemonium breaks loose. This announcement causes the workers' already frazzled nerves to fracture. Concerned that the hysteria will quickly spread to our guests, I use one of the talents my father taught me at an early age. Lifting my hand to my mouth, I blow a piercing whistle. The high-pitched noise is enough to startle everyone into freezing. "We are going to make the best of this," I tell them firmly, and with much more confidence than I feel. It is time to get creative, folks. If you have an idea for how we can feed our guests, I'm all ears.
An open fire cookout.
Someone from the back of the room suggests quietly.
"We hardly have any meat after last night's luau."
The suggestion is immediately shot down, but I hold up a finger as my brain begins working through a crazy idea. "Do we have the ingredients to make bread, lots of bread?" I ask, starting to envision a way out of this mess.
"Yes,"
someone answers. "Okay, start making dough and use the wood oven to bake loaves of bread. We need as many as you can make. Once they are done, cut them into thin slices." A few people start moving around, following my orders, while the rest wait for further instructions. "You two," I point at a couple of young busboys, "go out to the storage shed to gather all of our campfire cooking implements, clean them up and bring them inside." The two I had indicated jump to comply with my request. The remaining workers stare at me, awaiting their directions. "The rest of you start slicing and dicing everything you can find, cheese, meat, fruit. We'll need it all." As the kitchen returns to some semblance of order, I scrub a hand over my face, silently praying that this will work. One thing is for sure, it's going to be the most unique Christmas brunch I have ever served. The rest of the morning goes by in a blur. Once we have the buffet of options all set up in the lobby near the fireplace, I start making the first fried pie. I select cherry filling for this first one, deciding that the red will at least look festive if this plan turns out to be a flop. A crowd starts gathering around me as I show a little girl with a front tooth missing how to make the campfire sandwiches, which have been a long-standing tradition in my family. Make sure you have plenty of butter on both sides so it won't stick. I raise my voice so the people in the back can hear. Put a slice of bread on, add whatever fixins you want, top it with another piece of bread, then smush it together. The guests are watching me like I am sharing the secret of life with them. I play it up by stage whispering, "I like to cut the crusts off mine like this." I proceed to edge a knife around the rim of the sandwich iron. Have to be careful not to touch the hot metal, I warn them, before placing the sandwich maker into the burning coals of the fireplace. Do you want the first one? I ask the little girl. She responds by enthusiastically nodding her head. Okay, I agree, before adding, you let me know when 3 minutes have passed and we'll check it to see if it's ready to be turned over.
Got it.
She answers importantly before asking for her mother's phone. As I turn to start prepping the next pie, I'm pleasantly surprised to see that the guests are jumping in and making their own. We only have 4 sandwich irons, but people are working with the 3 remaining ones, following my instructions, adding ingredients to their sandwich pies and having fun. At the little girl's urging, I turn her pie over and recruit some of the other children to be official timers. They are giddy at the opportunity to play such a vital role in the meal preparation. When the first one is toasted to perfection, I release the now sealed sandwich pouch from the iron. After warning the girl that it will be hot, she blows on it and asks me numerous times if it is cool enough yet. Finally, deciding the anticipation is killing us all, I nod at her. She takes a tentative bite, as we all watch for her reaction to the cherry pie. I wait for her verdict with bated breath.
Yum,
she announces, her eyes wide with delight before chomping down a second bite. The crowd actually claps with excitement as activity resumes. I help people get their pies ready to go in the fire, then take care of shaking them free from the white, hot irons. I don't want anyone getting burned on my watch. At some point, Kai asks me if I have any great drink ideas up my sleeve, because the bar is running low on just about everything. I curse the timing of the supply truck not being able to get here for the 1,000th time, before snapping my fingers with an idea. What's the one thing we have plenty of around here right now? Kai can tell I have an idea, but it doesn't stop him from being snarky.
Darkness?
No, silly coconuts. The wind has been blowing them off the trees. All we have to do is collect them, crack them open and put one of your fancy straws in them. We can call them Christmas coconut chillers. I hate the idea of sending workers out into the storm to gather the coconuts, but I'm sure they will be okay. The howling winds seem to have died down a little bit.
You are a genius.
Kai pulls me in for a loud smack on the cheek, before jogging to put my plan into action. Russ makes his first appearance of the morning, right as Kai kisses me. While I am well aware that the sign of affection from Kai was brotherly, Russ is not. He starts to bolt back out the door he came in, so I run after him. That's right, I run. I catch him too. His face is so red it almost looks purple when I grab his arm to stop him.
It's okay.
He says without looking at me.
You deserve to be with someone like him, not a dork like me.
There are so many things wrong with that statement, I don't know where to begin. I tell him. I move into his line of sight, so he has no option except to look at me. Kai and I are not, never have been, and never will be a couple, I tell him matter-of-factly. He starts to say something, but I hold up a single finger, stopping him. And don't ever call yourself a dork in my presence again. You happen to be talking about someone I'm very fond of.
Really?
He looks up, hope sparkling in his eyes. At my nod he grins. I take the opportunity to link my arm with his, turning him back towards the food. So, tell me more about this possibility of me being with someone like you, I openly flirt. I start making him a sandwich, but he takes over the preparations. At my surprised look, he reveals,
My family used to go camping all the time when I was little, before my dad's drinking started.
He adds sadly. Opting not to let the dark turn of his thoughts get him down, he reveals,
Fried pie sandwiches are my favorite.
Mine too. I grin up at him as I watch him expertly make a cheese and sausage-filled pie. When his toasted sandwich is finished, he lets it cool before taking a bite.
Yum.
He savors it, chewing slowly.
Even better than I remembered. I thought you said hurricane season was over.
His tone is light, even though his words are somewhat accusatory. I guess no one informed Mother Nature. I grin up at him. Just then Kai flings the door open, so Honi and several others can enter the lobby from the outdoor bar. They are carrying trays of sliced coconuts with tiny umbrellas and brightly hued curly straws. The guests are so excited by their appearance that they break into applause again. Before Kai gets the door pulled shut against the wind, the plastic island Santa from the front entrance blows in and slides across the floor, spinning like a deranged madman. Everyone is frozen in place, staring at him. His song is stuck repeating, "Melly, melly, melly." I know what needs to be done, but I'm not sure about doing it in front of all these guests on Christmas Day. Instead, I walk over and stand him up gently.
Give him a thump, Fonzie.
Russ encourages me. I wallop Santa on the head. A couple of people gasp in surprise, but when he starts singing his song the right way, we all join in. After a couple of rounds of Meli Kalikimaka, I turn to Russ. It may not have been a traditional Christmas, but it sure has been a memorable one.
Super memorable.
He agrees, before lifting his coconut to tap into mine.
And super coconut tea.
The coca nutty est. I grin up at him, as he pulls me into his arms. He rubs his nose against mine, before our lips come together in a sweet Christmas kiss. I'm shocked to feel my knee bend as my foot pops up off the ground, without me telling it to do so. I feel like a Disney princess, and I am suddenly confident that, like all of them, I'm going to live happily ever after.
Continue your fun getaway to where the palm trees sway with the other books in the Escape series, Aloha Baby, Getting Laid, Cruising for Love, and Island Hopping.